Alright, folks. Let me tell you more or less why so many people been throwing games. And I seen this every time, dude. Every time I see it. And it's something, it's easy fix once you find out the real issue. That in long games, what wins is area of effect and high DPS characters. Sometimes some characters don't have area effect that are high heat DPS units, such as Wind Riders. But you're gonna see here that none of my allies even managed to build not even one. So let me speed up units here. Let me take out the Fog of War. This was such an easy game, dude. Sub 20 game if I would have been with good people. I did mess up, and I'll tell you my mess up. Everybody messed up on my team. They messed up like the first 10 to 15 minutes. That's why they were getting rocked. But then they started like capitalizing on their mistake.
Job done.
Okay. First of all, my tier 3, there's Wind Riders, Demolishers as good long game units. Anything past 20 minutes is considered a long game for me. Anything sub 20s like you're rushing. So anything that is very good at DPS such as magic damage or high piercing damage. When a lot of piercings like Riflemen and Wind Riders, they're on top of the chain, and Crypt Fiends, sorry, Crypt Fiends. They're on top of the food chain for damage. Dryads they're not that good for damage. Do not mistaken Dryads as good damage. Dryads are good on certain situations where you can actually stack with magic against magic or against tier 1 melee like foodies and grunts. Mainly grunts, they're good against them. He has Wind Riders, he has Demolishers, and Crypt Fiends. And then he can mix that up with Shamans to actually make them more deadly. I don't know if my foe has Spellbreakers. The bad thing is that you can't see on the side of what they have. This guy has Frost Worms. Destroyers are magic damage, but they're not very good at dealing a lot of dealing magic damage. So I kind of probably wouldn't put destroyers in there. They're very situational in my opinion. Same thing with Dragonhawk Riders. They're very situational. Their piercing is not enough to actually do a lot of the punish in games where you really want to end it. It doesn't have to necessarily be a long game. It's just like when there's like a standstill and you're like, okay, I'm about to win, but how come we're not winning? How come we're not at the fortress? It's because you need something like something of a horsepower to really kick in. And this guy only has Frost Worms for that, unfortunately. Headhunters, I think they're good, but only against air and heroes. But against units, in my opinion, they're not that good. I think Crit Fiends are way better when it comes to dealing with units. Once you really pump them up with Shamans, it's a must, man. Or anything like Necromancers. Like my teammates have everything with them, dude. Everything. Let me just link this stream right up on my group. Then we can go from there. I want people to actually see, and if they have any questions. I want people to actually see, and if they have any questions. Pick things up because I don't want to take a long time doing this. I think at mid game I'm gonna slow it down again. Okay, we're about to take their tower in a bit. Then I'm gonna pause it once we take their tower down. I'll explain to you with their mistakes, and then I'll reflect back on our mistakes. Okay. All right. So anybody that takes their tower down and like in sub 20, like 11 minimum, it should have been a sub 10, man. And the reason we didn't kill it past 10 was because this guy went hero and he went tier 3. Like I made an emphasis that usually you don't want to get hero and then get tier 3 like almost on the same timeline. Gotta make it a few waves apart, not too close, because sometimes that slows down. Like we could have actually nailed that. This guy was rushing. He did good in the beginning, but after the first 11 minutes, he did good, but after that he started just going downhill. And my opponent, he was one gold mine. He got the second gold mine, I think, a 9-minute mark, right before the tower got destroyed. So he kind of got the gold mine a bit late. This guy, I don't have to tell you what he did wrong. And this guy went third gold mine as well. Like they're not doing good, but yet they ended up pulling it off, man. Like right here, for example, I don't know if he had melee or anything, but his front line is spellbreakers. That kind of throw me off because I had shamans. I'm like, damn it. And that's my only mistake that I did, is that I didn't make shamans. Instead of pumping torrents that I do later on, I think that's the only mistake that I did in my book, is that I should have pumped shamans and I should have pumped a little bit more huntresses, because huntresses, believe it or not, is a good DPS unit. They don't attack fast, but they have a good area of effect. So whenever you really want to push huntresses, it's a good way to actually do a good crowd control. It's a good tier 1 unit. I think it's probably one of the best tier 1, if not the best tier 1 unit to push. Um, Grunts and Foodies, if you mass them, they're very situational. They tend to just hold a line or just rush in for tower, but to kill armies or bigger armies, you're gonna struggle, man. You're gonna really struggle if you mass Foodies. The Orange, I don't have to tell you what he's doing wrong. He got the worst hero in the game in my book. He just built a lot of tier 1 crap just to hold because we were rushing them, as you can see. And yellow was coming out full force. Purple wasn't doing too bad. I mean, ghouls are actually not that bad with Dreadlord. But teal had shamans. But the problem what teal did was that he ended up getting only 3 shamans. I think you want to have minimum of 5 shamans. 5 shamans is what you really want to go for a crowd control for ghouls. He only had a few, so I think this is passable. The only mistake he did in my book was that he got tier 3 in hero almost on the same time frame. He should have waited a little bit longer. Maybe he should have waited. He also got third gold mine, by the way. Maybe he shouldn't have waited that. If he should have waited, we would have probably been taking out some damage towards the tower. And yeah, blue wasn't doing bad either. It's just that he forgot his second gold mine. That's about it. I was facing against a good opponent. Wait, what's his name? Lord Un... I don't know, never seen that guy before. But anyways, let's move on and then yeah, pause it halfway.
Job done.
Right there. On the 17-minute mark, I was like, damn, how come we're not pushing? 16, 17 mark, I was like, hey, they're holding off really good, so I was kind of getting annoyed. And purple was already pumping mountain giants. So this guy, instead of actually countering that, ended up just pumping more spirit walkers, more defensive units. He did good by getting demolisher, but he was facing against a guy that was already pumping um Mountain Giants, and he sold his freaking ghouls for that, which it was kind of dumb because it wasn't that many ghouls. It was like what, 6 or 7? So what this guy could have done, let's see. Yeah, he got more Spirit Walkers. I wish he would have gotten more Tarns. I think you want to have at least 2-to-1 ratio for Spirit Walkers and Tarns. Like you want to have more Tarns than Spirit Walkers because the fact that they're so expensive. But you can actually go half and half. I tend to go 1-on-1. Like if I have 4 Tarns, I have 4 Spirit Walkers. But this guy has 6 Walkers and 4 Tarns. So against a very meaty hero and has that level 6, I would have probably pumped more shamans to get that bloodlust going. Unfortunately, he didn't get that bloodlust. As for yellow, he ended up getting more raiders, one of the worst units to do damage, and he doesn't have any area effect. Again, you want to finish up your opponent, you want to have good DPS or good area of effect. I don't see neither here. Like necromancers, you might think, oh, they're good units to actually push. They're not. They tend to actually just hold the line and stack. A lot of those skeletons, they don't do a lot of damage unless you have like a Kodo beast and the bears. There's nobody to actually steal a lot of those buffs from the bears. But anyways, even then, I feel like the necromancers are more just to help stack or support units. I feel like they're either to help stack and support, but they're not good units to push. Again, trolls, they're good high DPS units, but I feel like it's more against air or unarmored units. And orange has a lot of heavy armor, like he's not going. He even would have went worms rather than wasted like what 300, 400 on raiders. He would have gotten at least a worm there. And instead of going more on trolls, you would have probably gone 2 or 3 worms there. We would have been touching their fortress. And we probably would have finished the game in sub 20. And like I said, the only mistake that I was doing here was that I pumped Torrents against this. I should have gone Shamans. Wait, you can't see my units. Okay, I had Shamans. I could have built Shamans. The only reason I didn't build Shamans was because this guy had a Spellbreaker. So I'm not sure if the Spellbreaker steals my Bloodlust and if my Spellbreaker can steal it back. I'm not 100% sure on that, but like I said, the Huntress is a good area effect unit. It helps push up a lot of the armies back. And against the Mountain Giant spammer, since I was fighting purple half of the time, or most of the time, I should have gone more Huntresses. So that was the only mistake that I did there.
Job's done.
See, right there. That's like the closest thing we'll ever touch the fortress, and then we can't touch the fortress. My hero is doing a lot of damage, and I think you only want to have 1 Pendant of Mana and 1 Sobi Mask. I think 2 Pendant of Manas is like overkill for Farseer. Um, it can be good like if your character stays up for so long, but that's very rare. It's just best to waste that 100 gold on something else. So I mess up there as well. Now, as far as for Teal, he got a second hero, dude. His hero's not even level 6 yet. So he's already messing up big time, and everybody says, oh, you gotta be level 6 to get that hero. I feel like level 8 is probably a better unit, and I like to actually place the catapults in front, and I have a lot of support units or strong units like ground units like Taran to actually come in. As soon as they make contact, they start throwing, attacking, and then a lot of the backline comes in and sweeping. Because a lot of times, if you put the catapults in the back, you tend to actually not get the most damage output out of the catapults. So anybody out there who's watching, hopefully this is informative. The only thing you really don't want sometimes in front catapults is if they have a front line with air, They come in and they can actually destroy your catapults, mortars, what have you. So you gotta be careful what you have in front line whenever you're dealing with air, but that's about it.
Done. Job's done.
Then I'm gonna save up for second hero. Okay. You see, my hero's level 6. This guy's hero's not even level 6 yet. If he would have actually helped put the Dead Knight alive, then we would have probably win a lot sooner as well. Now for yellow, he had the Tauren. He was depending a lot on the Tauren in mid to late game before the game ended. Like right now, he was depending a lot on him. The thing about Tauren is that I don't think he's a powerhouse when it comes to like killing mass armies. Yes, he has the clap. Yes, he has that aura. But I feel like he's better to deal with the back line and break off armies, so when he dies, he gets revived and he destroys a lot of the backline. A lot of times the backline has weak heroes or has his catapults, demolishers, ballistas, whatever they're called. They tend to actually destroy a lot of those casters and backline units, and it's very good, and then it breaks up the army. I feel like the Farseer is actually one of those few heroes that is very good at doing a lot of crowd control. Has a lot of area effect with her with his magic, and that's the reason why we were pushing a lot of the times back. And we were gonna see that they stack up. My hero ends up breaking their line really well because they were about to win, and I think in the 20. You're gonna see it in a bit. Okay, let me lower the speed here. Okay, then it's not this wave. It's probably the next coming wave then. See right there. Have I would have had more huntresses instead of Taurens, because Taurens are 300. They're like almost 1.5 more expensive than the huntress. I would have dealt with a lot of these mountain giants, but you know what? I was dumb enough to get Taurens. So it was one of those things that I messed up, but okay, you're seeing right here, Teal's wave is dying so quick. They're stacking up big time, and the problem here is that this guy heavily depended on getting a third hero, which I think getting a third hero pre 30-minute mark is dumb. Even if your hero's level 6, your second hero's level 6, you don't want to have a third. I think third hero are for very long games, 30 to 45-minute plus. Usually most games don't last more than 45 minutes, but if they last, yeah, third hero is a must. But pre 30 minutes, which most games end anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes, you don't want to get a third hero. So that's why his lane was getting rocked. It's only four Taurens against all of these mountain giants. Right there, they're stacking. They're stacking. Okay, orange and blue stacked. So I was like, oh shit. Like, oh shit, are they gonna stack? Look, my hero breaks up all of this. Look at this, man. Half of this of the army. This is double of that right here, what I have. And I'm gonna kill all of this. Okay, you saw right there. I killed a 2 stack. Why was that? First of all, this guy was messing up getting a lot of gargoyles. Gargoyles, again, they're not very good high DPS units. If he would have gotten more creep fiends, would have been in trouble. He did good at getting more sorcerers. Like, oh, this guy doesn't have this spell. And I messed up here big time. I think instead of getting more gargoyles, he would have gone more sorcerers. I think 6 to 10 is good in long games. And more fiends, more creep fiends would have actually helped push his wave and not get pushed back. And on my case, of course, is the Huntress and the hero that did most of the cleaning from that. And the leftovers of that, that is. And this. After this, I think only like 3 lanes passed by and then they got stacked again. And I couldn't deal with the stack anymore because it was too much. Yeah. Right here, I thought it was going to be over, but I ate my words. Once purple comes in, it just puts a wall on us. Big time. Look at this, man. Freaking mountain giants, dude. So many. Like if you have one line, that's scary enough. I don't have enough crap to deal with that. Like I could have, instead of wasting 1500 on D, I would have gotten a full line of another huntresses. That would have helped deal with us with this thing. But again, spawn was kind of weak. He went 3 hero. This guy, again, he started pumping the worms, but it was kind of too late already. He would have not wasted his money on raiders and trolls. Would have not wasted money on those 2 things. And he would have gotten worms. And then he got a second Tauren in a bit. He's going to get it. But what's the point? Like, if you're going to be focusing on Tauren and getting attributes, you see he got the 3 attributes here. If you're going to get the attributes, you're going to go for items, man. Unless, like, you have like a hero like the Beastmaster where your shit is getting dispelled, but you don't see the Tauren summoning any creatures, so. Man, I ate my words here. I hate it every time, and it's not the first time it's happened. It's happened multiple times where I say it's about to be GG or I think it's over, and the opposing side just pushes back and beats us, and it annoys me. Like, I think I messed up only just by making the Taurens here. It's not a big deal, as opposed to getting a 3rd hero here and pumping more walkers. Then they equal it out with this. But I think like this guy, he went overboard with getting too many heroes early on. And then he got 3 items that were too expensive, which is not bad. But he could have wasted that $500 on something like Wind Riders or something that has a lot of normal damage. Believe it or not, foodies do really good against mountain giants. Let's see what other else he had. I mean, this guy doesn't have much anti-air, to believe it or not. So his Wind Riders, if he would have spawned them, he would have destroyed those units that were actually putting the healing wards that were actually healing a lot of the freaking mountain giants. I think now that I see this game, I thought yellow was the one that fucked up the most. Now it's teal that really destroyed us. And he ended up rage quitting like a minute or 2 minutes before we lost. I can see why. And right here, dude, he got a 2 Tauren hero. That would have been nice if he would have put items, but they stacked and it was over, man. Okay, you see, the problem with making worms against dryads is that you can't finish them off. But don't make don't make dryads intimidate you. I've seen people and get intimidated by dryads. They're like, oh man, he has dryads. I'm not gonna make worms. Make them. I don't. It's very good against area of effect for worms. That a lot of the times it's worth it because not only do you destroy their casters, you destroy a lot of the front and back line as well. Um, as far as me, the only reason why I pumped more siege engines here was because this guy went overboard with the gargoyles. But a lot of times I was fighting purple. So I should have not gotten this. It's fine that I got this. Siege engines don't do bad against mountain giants, but I would have gotten more huntresses. Yellow, again, I told you, like, you pump one worm, he would have pumped more. He had no aerial effect to deal with all of this mess right here. And then the dryads, that could have been dealt with those knights and footies, man. I mean, knights and ghouls, sorry.
Research complete.
That's it. I don't want to end it. It's pretty much the mistake right here. Something that could have been a sub 20 win for us ended up becoming a 30-minute nightmare for us and making it a loss. So hopefully this was informative. Again, don't go 3 heroes right away and don't pump as much items. Get like at least 1 item per wave and then just calculate what the opponent has and then calculate more or less what you need to. I've seen so many people get 2 or 3 items. Maybe getting 2 items if it's like something like Pendant of Mana or getting something that's much cheaper than 200, then you can get away with getting like 2 items. But if it's something like 240 with most items are 240 and up, get 1 item at a time, dude. 1 item at a time. Then calculate and more or less see what you need to go. Alright, I'm gonna cut the stream. Hopefully this is informative. Take care, everybody.